My name is Charlotte Evans, and the courage to end financial exploitation came to me on a rainy Tuesday evening in Manchester, standing in my tiny flat, staring at a bank statement that showed my account nearly empty. £12,000 drained over 2 years by my boyfriend, Mark, who I'd trusted with my heart and my finances. My phone lit up with his latest text. "Babe, just need £500 for this gig, it's my big break." His words, once charming, now felt like a blade. For years, I'd believed his promises, funded his dreams, and ignored the sinking feeling that I was being used. But that night, as the rain battered my window and my savings dwindled to nothing, I didn't just close my wallet. I closed the door on his lies. And when I exposed his exploitation to everyone he'd charmed, I didn't just take back my money, I took back my life. I grew up in a small town outside Manchester, raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. She taught me to be kind, to trust, to believe in love. "You're a giver, Charlotte," she'd say, her smile tired but warm. I carried that into my 20s, building a steady life as an accounts assistant at a local firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid for my cozy flat, my weekend hikes, and a savings account I'd hoped would one day fund a small business. A bakery, my dream since I was a kid kneading dough with Mum. I met Mark at a pub quiz 3 years ago. He was 29, a musician with messy hair and a grin that made my knees weak. He'd tell stories about his gigs, his big plans, to make it as a producer, and I was hooked. He moved in with me 6 months later, promising to split rent, but it never happened. "I'm between gigs, babe," he'd say, kissing my forehead. "I'll pay you back when my demo lands." I believed him, because he made me feel special, like I was part of his dream. I started covering his share, rent, bills, groceries, telling myself it was temporary. He'd play me a new song, call me his muse, and I'd melt, opening my banking app to send another transfer. It wasn't just rent. Mark had a knack for emergencies. His guitar broke, so I bought him a new one, £800. His car needed repairs, £200. He needed studio time for his big break, £2000. Each time, he'd promise to pay me back, his eyes earnest, his hands warm on mine. "You're saving me, Charlotte," he'd say. I kept a mental tally, but asking for money felt petty, like I was doubting his love. By last year, I'd given him over £12,000, my savings gutted, my bakery dream fading. I worked overtime to cover our bills, while Mark spent his days networking at bars, coming home late, smelling of beer and excuses. The cracks started showing when I found a receipt in his jacket, £150 for drinks at a club, the same week I'd lent him £200 for studio fees. I confronted him, my voice shaking. "You said you needed that money for work." He laughed casual. "Babe, networking is work. You wouldn't get it." He kissed me, promised to sort it, and I let it go, hating myself for it. But the doubts grew. Friends noticed. My mate Sarah, who'd known me since uni, said, "He's using you, Char. You're not his girlfriend, you're his bank." I snapped at her, defensive, but her words stuck, like a splinter I couldn't ignore. Then came the final straw. I'd been working late, crunching numbers for a deadline, when Mark texted about needing £500 for a gig in London. I was exhausted, my account at £200, my credit card maxed. I called him, said, "I can't, Mark. I'm broke." His voice turned cold. "You're always so stingy lately. Don't you believe in me?" I hung up, my hands trembling, and checked my bank app. That's when I saw it, a transfer I hadn't authorized, £1,000 to his account, labeled equipment. He'd used my laptop, my saved login, my trust. I sat there, rain hammering the window, and realized he wasn't my partner. He was a thief. I didn't cry. I didn't call him. I started planning. Mark thought he could keep taking because I'd always give. He was wrong. I wasn't just going to leave him. I was going to make sure everyone saw him for what he was. His music career, his charm, his big break relied on his image. I was going to shatter it. I began with evidence. I went through my bank statements, marking every transfer to Mark, dates, amounts, his flimsy excuses. £800 for the guitar. £1,200 for the car. £2,000 for studio time. The unauthorized £1,000 was the clincher, time-stamped when I was at work. I save screenshots of his texts, begging for money, promising repayment. "You're my lifesaver, babe." One read, sent the day he'd bought those drinks. I dug through his social media. Posts of him at clubs, festivals, new trainers, all while I paid his rent. Each photo was a lie, proof of what my money had really bought. I also started recording him. I'd leave my phone on during our talks, capturing his excuses. "I'll pay you back when my EP drops," he'd say casual, like it was a game. Or, "You're so good to me, Char." Most girls wouldn't get it. I'd nod, smile, keep my voice soft, but my phone was always on. One night he let slip, "I've got mates who'd kill for a girl like you, someone who'll bankroll the dream." He laughed, thinking I'd laugh too. I didn't. I saved the clip. The hardest part was living with him while I planned. Every time he kissed me, every time he called me babe, I wanted to scream. But I played the loving girlfriend, because that's what kept him careless. He thought I was still his ATM, his safety net. He didn't know I was building a trap. The perfect moment was his band's big gig, a showcase at a Manchester club where he'd invited industry types, friends, even my mum and Sarah. It was his chance to make it, to impress the right people. He'd been hyping it for weeks, posting about his hustle, his grind. I knew it was the stage I needed, a place where his image was everything, where the truth would hit hardest. I prepared meticulously. I turned my evidence into a presentation, screenshots, bank records, audio clips, a timeline of his exploitation. I called it the cost of trust. I didn't want to just humiliate him. I wanted to show everyone what he'd done, how he'd used me to fund his facade. I practiced my speech, keeping it calm, factual, but every word carried the weight of my pain. I burned the presentation onto a USB drive, tested it, made sure it was bulletproof. I also reached out to Sarah, who'd seen Mark's patterns from the start. She gave me a receipt she'd found, pound 300 for a producer meeting he'd never mentioned. Another friend, Tom, admitted Mark had borrowed £200 from him, unpaid. Their stories made mine less lonely, more real. "Expose him," Sarah said. "He doesn't get to walk away clean." The night before the gig, I packed a bag and left it by the door. I was moving out after this, crashing with Sarah until I found a new place. I sat in our flat, Mark's guitar in the corner, his clothes strewn across the couch, and felt a strange calm. He'd taken so much, but he couldn't take my courage. The club was packed, the air thick with sweat and anticipation. Mark's band was headlining, and he was in his element, charming the crowd, shaking hands with industry guys, his smile electric. He'd begged me to come, saying, "It won't be the same without you, babe." I came, but not for him. My USB was in my purse, my heart steady. The club had a projector for visuals during the set, Mark's idea, to show behind-the-scenes clips of his journey. I'd helped him set it up weeks ago, so I knew how it worked. During the opening act, I slipped backstage, found the tech guy, and said, "I've got a surprise for Mark's set. Can I add it?" He shrugged, handed me the cable. I plugged in the USB. My hands calm, my mind sharp. Mark's band took the stage, the crowd cheering. He spotted me, winked, and launched into his first song. I waited until the set was halfway through, when he paused to talk about his struggle, his hustle. That's when I stepped to the projector, clicked the remote, and the screen lit up. The cost of trust. The music faltered. Mark turned, confused, as the first slide appeared. A screenshot of his text. "Babe, need £500 for the gig." I took the mic from the stand, my voice clear over the crowd's murmurs. "This is Mark's real hustle," I said. "For 2 years I funded his life, pound 12,000 of my savings, my dreams gone." I clicked again, the unauthorized £1,000 transfer. Gasps rippled through the room. Mark's face went white. "Charlotte, what the hell?" he shouted, but I kept going. Another slide. His club receipt, £150, while I paid his rent. An audio clip, his voice. Most girls wouldn't bankroll the dream. The crowd was silent, friends staring, the industry guys frowning. I showed texts, photos, the timeline of his lies. "He didn't just take my money," I said. "He took my trust, my love, my future." I ended with a photo of us, early on, smiling. "I believed in you, Mark," I said, looking at him. "But you're not a dreamer." You're a user. I dropped the mic, unplugged the USB, and walked out. The crowd parted, some whispering, others glaring at Mark. He tried to call after me, his voice desperate, but the band didn't start again. I heard later that the industry guys left, his mates turned on him, and my mum walked out, stunned. I didn't go back to the flat. I stayed with Sarah, my bag already packed, my life ready to start over. My phone buzzed with texts, friends shocked and supportive, Mum apologizing for not seeing it sooner. Mark sent a voicemail sobbing. You've ruined me, Charlotte. How could you? I saved it, but didn't reply. He posted on Instagram claiming it was a misunderstanding, but the comments were brutal. Pay her back. You're a leech. The fallout was swift. Mark's band dropped him, his industry connections ghosted him. He moved out, leaving my flat a mess, but I didn't care. I filed a small claims case for the £1,000 he'd stolen. It's pending, but the public record is enough. My savings are gone, but I'm rebuilding, working overtime, taking on freelance bookkeeping, saving for that bakery again. I started hiking again, joined a photography club, made new friends who don't ask for loans. Mum and I are talking slowly about trust and boundaries. Mark's still chasing gigs, but his charm is fading, his name tainted. He thought I'd always give, that I'd never fight back. He was wrong. The courage to end financial exploitation wasn't just saying no to Mark. It was saying yes to myself, my dreams, my worth, my future. He thought he could take everything and leave me empty. I showed him, and myself, that I'm stronger than his lies. And that's worth more than £12,000. If you enjoyed this revenge story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from.